Welcome to Stories for Sleep, a place where each story is not only to be heard, but to help you gradually settle and drift into sleep naturally. Tonight, we will journey together into something very special, a journey back in time to prehistoric ages, where even modern science has not yet fully explained. Buried traces, unsolved mysteries, and questions that still echo in the silence of history. Carl Gustav Jung once said, "The unknown is the field of all possibilities," and perhaps it is precisely those unexplained things that open a very deep space for us to feel rather than to understand. If journeys like this help you relax, you can subscribe to the Stories for Sleep channel, so you always have a gentle place to return to whenever you need rest. And now, take a very soft breath and let your body relax. There are periods in Earth's history that were not recorded in writing, not passed down through memory, and even now cannot be fully explained by modern science. Those gaps are like forgotten dreams, leaving behind only a faint feeling that something once happened, but we no longer remember clearly. As you close your eyes and imagine prehistory, you may see primordial oceans, ancient forests, strange creatures, existing in a world completely different. But deeper than all those images, there is a quiet question: what truly happened in those periods that science still cannot explain? Carl Gustav Jung once said, "The unconscious is not just evil by nature, it is also the source of the highest good." And perhaps the history of Earth is like the human mind, with a vast portion lying in the unconscious, holding buried events, unnamed mysteries, and stories never told. In this video, you will not only explore mysterious prehistoric times, but also enter a deeper journey where the boundary between science and intuition becomes blurred. Together, we will move through remaining traces, unfinished hypotheses, and the gaps that leave even scientists silent. But this is not a journey to find definitive answers. It is a journey to feel, to allow yourself to slow down, to move deeper into the unknown, and to realize that sometimes it is the mysteries themselves that open the deepest doors of the mind. So, let your body soften, take a gentle breath, and allow your mind to settle. We will step together into a time that has been forgotten. Let us begin. The unexplainable gap. There is a vast silence between what we know and what we cannot remember. If you imagine the entire history of humanity as a long river, then what we call civilization, cities writing recorded history, is only a very short stretch, very recent, like a bend the river has just passed. Behind it is an immense expanse of water, stretching across hundreds of thousands of years, with almost no story told. Modern humans have existed for about 3,000,000 years, but what we call civilization has only appeared in the last 1,000,000 years, which means nearly 99% of our own history is not recorded, not remembered, not understood. A vast gap right in the story of humanity itself. And if you pause for a moment, you may feel the strangeness of that. We know how to build cities. We understand the universe. We can see billions of light years away, yet we know almost nothing about most of our own past. Carl Gustav Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." And perhaps human history is the same. What is forgotten does not truly disappear. It simply withdraws into the shadows. If you go deeper into this idea, you may realize that this missing time is not truly empty. Humans still lived, still moved, still felt, still experienced the world in ways we can barely imagine today. But there was no writing, no records, no stories preserved in the way we are familiar with. Only very faint traces, stone tools, fossils, footprints, imprinted upon the surface of time, and from these traces, we try to reconstruct a story. But that story is always incomplete, always fragmented, always with parts where science can only say, "We are not sure." And in those uncertainties, a very deep question begins to emerge. What were we doing for those hundreds of thousands of years? How did we live? What did we think? What did we feel? What did we fear? What did we love? If you allow that question to settle, without trying to answer, you may feel it open a vast space, a space of imagination, of intuition, of the unknown. Jung once wrote, "The dream is the small hidden door in the deepest and most intimate sanctum of the soul." And perhaps this prehistoric time is like a collective dream of humanity, a very long dream of which we only remember fragments. If you go deeper still, you may realize that this disappearance is not a complete loss. It is like human memory, which does not retain every detail. We do not remember every day we have lived, yet we are still the result of all those days. Your body, your instincts, your quick reactions that you cannot explain, invisible fears, familiar feelings, even when you have never experienced them. All of these may be traces of a very distant past, a past not recorded in words, yet still alive within you. If you allow yourself to feel this, you may see that the question, "What did we do?" is not only about history, it is a question about yourself, about the parts within you that you do not fully understand, about the unconscious, where logic cannot reach. Jung called this the collective unconscious, a deep layer of the mind, where all primitive human memories still exist, not as stories, but as symbols, feelings, instincts. If that is true, then that missing 99% is not truly gone. It has simply taken another form, a form that science cannot yet measure, but you can feel. If you stay with this thought a little longer, you may find that not knowing is no longer frightening. It becomes a doorway into deeper layers of understanding, not understanding through the mind, but through presence. If you continue drifting, you may feel that you no longer need to find answers immediately. No need to fill the gap. You can be within it. A vast space, very still, very deep, like the night sky, which does not need every star to be beautiful. And within that space, your mind begins to slow, thoughts becoming fewer, sensations softening. If you remain a little longer, you may feel that you are no longer outside the story. You are part of it, part of a very long, very ancient flow that you cannot fully see, but you are within it. And perhaps you do not need to know exactly what happened, because in some way, you carry it all, in your body, in your mind, in your very presence. If you drift deeper, you may feel that all questions begin to soften, no longer sharp, no longer demanding answers. Only a very gentle curiosity remains, soft, calm. And within that curiosity, you no longer need to stay fully awake. You can let go, let the questions pass, let the gaps open, let your mind go deeper, slower, quieter, until all thoughts begin to dissolve and you gently drift into sleep alongside ancient mysteries, still whispering somewhere very deep within you. As you continue to remain in that space, without rushing to fill it, without trying to understand, you may begin to feel something very strange. That emptiness is not truly empty. It holds a very deep silence, a silence not of absence, but of fullness. Carl Gustav Jung once wrote, "Silence is the great teacher," and perhaps, in the parts of history that say nothing, we can hear the most. If you go deeper into that feeling, you may realize that prehistoric humans, though they left no writing, lived each moment fully. They looked at the sky, not through telescopes, but with bare eyes, and felt its vastness directly. They listened to the wind, the water, the animals, not as data, but as a part of themselves. They lived, not separate from the world, and, perhaps, because of that, they did not need to record everything, because they did not live to remember. They lived to experience. If you remain with this idea a little longer, you may feel that within you there is also such a part that needs no language, no explanation, no understanding, only feeling. If you allow that part to emerge, very gently, you may notice your mind becoming calmer. No need to analyze, no need to question, simply being. Jung once said, "The unconscious is not just a repository of the past, but a living system." And perhaps the prehistoric past of humanity is not only behind you, it is still alive in every reaction, every feeling, every dream you have. If you drift deeper, you may feel that you are no longer separate from time, no clear past or present, only a long flow, and you are within it. Naturally, if you remain a little longer, you may realize that you do not need to answer the original question, what did we do for those hundreds of thousands of years? Perhaps the answer is not in knowing exactly, but in feeling that life has always been happening, quietly, continuously, without needing to be recorded to have meaning. If you let go a little more, you may feel all questions dissolve completely. No weight, no pressure, only a very deep stillness, very soft, very vast. And in that space, you do not need to do anything. No need to understand, no need to remember, no need to search, only drift, a little lighter, a little slower, until you no longer feel each thought clearly, and only a very deep sleep remains, waiting for you, just ahead. The paradox of modern humans. As you remain within the space from before, where history seems to dissolve into silence, another question begins to emerge, very softly, but more deeply. If humans have existed for 3,000,000 years, then why, for most of that time, did we not build civilizations? No cities, no writing, none of the complex systems that today we consider evidence of intelligence. This creates a very strange paradox, because the human brain 3,000,000 years ago, essentially, was no different from yours right now. They had creativity, imagination, the ability to communicate, the capacity for complex thought, but they did not create the world we are living in. Why Carl Gustav Jung once said, "Man is not only what he thinks he is also what he has not yet realized." And perhaps this paradox does not lie in a lack of ability, but in the fact that that ability had not yet been activated in the way we understand today. If you pause for a moment and feel this, you may notice how similar it is to your own mind. You also have many abilities, but not all are used. Not all become action. Not all become results that the world can see. A large part remains still, quiet, unexpressed. If you go deeper into this idea, you may realize that prehistoric humans may have lived in a completely different way, not less developed, but developed in another direction. Perhaps they did not build cities because they did not need to, did not write because they were not separated from living memory, did not create mathematics because they did not need to measure the world the way we do. They lived close to nature, close to the rhythms of earth, of water, of sky, and perhaps their intelligence did not lie in controlling the world, but in merging with it. Jung once wrote, "The modern man has lost touch with the deepest sources of his being." And perhaps the real paradox is not why they did not have civilization, but why do we assume that civilization is the only measure of intelligence? If you stay with this question a little longer, you may feel it soften many familiar assumptions. That progress always means upward, that more complexity is better, that more control is smarter. But if you look in another way, perhaps simplicity is also a form of intelligence. A form of intelligence that does not need to prove, does not need to build, does not need to leave traces, only to exist. If you continue drifting deeper, you may feel that this paradox is no longer a problem to solve. It becomes a doorway leading you to another question. That, if you do not need to become so much, then who are you when you simply exist? If you remain with that feeling, you may notice your mind slowing down. No need to find answers immediately. No need to understand everything. Only be there. If you go deeper, you may realize that within you also exist two parts. One that wants to build, to achieve, to move forward, and another part, very still, very slow, needing nothing, only to be. And perhaps prehistoric humans lived closer to that second part, not because they lacked, but because they were not pulled by the needs we now consider essential. If you allow yourself to remain in that state a little longer, you may feel tension begin to dissolve. No pressure to understand, no pressure to act, no pressure to become. Only a very light presence, very still, very deep. If you continue drifting, you may feel that this paradox gradually disappears. No longer a contradiction, no longer a question, only another possibility of life, a way of being that you can touch right now. If you let go a little more, you may feel that you no longer need to hold on to thoughts, no need to analyze, no need to explain, only drift, lighter, slower, deeper. And in that drifting, you are no longer in the paradox. You are in stillness. A stillness, very ancient, very familiar, as if you have been there for a very long time. And perhaps you have never truly left it. If you continue going deeper, all questions begin to dissolve. All concepts fade. Only a vast space remains, very quiet, very soft. And within that space, you do not need to do anything, only rest. And allow yourself to drift into sleep naturally, as humans once lived for hundreds of thousands of years, without needing explanation, yet still complete. As you continue to remain with that paradox, not rushing to explain, not trying to find a clear answer, you may begin to feel something very subtle, that perhaps the issue is not that ancient humans did nothing, but that they lived in a way that we are no longer familiar with, a way of living, not outward to build, but inward to feel. Carl Gustav Jung once wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And perhaps, through those hundreds of thousands of years, humans were not trying to become something greater. They simply were. If you pause and feel this, you may notice how different it is from how we live today. We are always moving toward the future, always trying to improve, always building, always advancing. But because of that, we easily lose the simple feeling of existing. If you go deeper, you may realize that the development of civilization does not only bring comfort, but also brings noise, separation, disconnection from nature, from the body, and from the deeper layers within ourselves. Jung once said, "The more civilized, the more unconscious." And perhaps the real paradox is not why humans did not create civilization earlier, but what did we trade away to gain it? If you stay with that question, you may feel a very gentle settling, not sadness, not regret, only recognition that there is a part of you that still remembers that slower way of living, a part that needs no achievement, no definition, no proof of worth, only to breathe and to live. If you allow that part to appear, even just a little, you may feel your body soften, your heartbeat slow, your breath deepen, as if you are returning to a very old state, yet very familiar. If you continue drifting deeper, you may realize that you no longer need to understand this paradox, no need to explain why humans did not build civilization, because perhaps that was never the most important thing. Perhaps what matters is how we exist. In each moment, if you remain a little longer, you may feel all concepts begin to dissolve. Progress, development, achievement, all becoming lighter, more distant, and you are no longer required to pursue them in this moment. You can rest. If you let go a little more, you may feel that you no longer need to hold on to thought, no need to analyze, no need to search for answers, only drift, lighter, slower, deeper, and in that drifting, you are no longer in the paradox. You are in a very still state, very soft, very deep. If you continue going deeper, everything begins to fade. Sounds, thoughts, clear sensations, all dissolving like mist. And within that mist, you no longer need to be anyone, no need to do anything, only be there. If you allow yourself to remain in that state a little longer, you may feel sleep drawing very near, not rushed, not strong, simply appearing. And you do not need to do anything to reach it, only let go, a little more, a little deeper, until everything dissolves completely and you gently drift into sleep within a very ancient stillness that you have always carried inside. Evidence of early intelligence as you continue drifting gently in the flow of that paradox where humans had the capacity but did not build civilization. Another light begins to appear, very softly but more clearly, that perhaps we have misunderstood ancient humans, because when we look at the traces they left behind, we begin to see something surprising. They were not simple, not primitive in the way we often imagine. The stone tools they created were not random broken pieces. They were crafted with precision, with optimal shapes, with clear purposes. They even understood how to use heat to alter material structures. That requires planning, experimenting, imagination, not instinct, but thought. If you pause and feel this, you may sense a subtle shift that ancient humans were not undeveloped, but developed in another way, a way we are no longer familiar with. And as you go deeper, you will see even more curious traces. Cave paintings, jewelry, burial rituals. This is no longer survival. This is meaning. A being that lives only to survive does not paint on cave walls, does not wear ornaments, does not bury the dead with care. These actions reveal something very profound, that they had symbolic thinking. They did not only see the world as it is, but felt the layers of meaning within it. Carl Gustav Jung once said, "Man is the only creature that knows he is," and perhaps the moment humans began to paint on stone or place objects beside the dead was the moment they did not just live, but began to know they were living. If you remain with this idea, you may feel a strange connection, that those humans, though they lived tens of thousands of years ago, are very much like us. They felt, imagined, searched for meaning, faced life and death, and perhaps they did so more directly, without distraction, without layers of information. If you continue drifting deeper, you may realize that language and culture likely appeared very early, not in written form, but as stories, sounds, gestures, symbols, a world where meaning was not recorded, but transmitted, alive, continuous, between people. If you pause, you may find this very familiar, because even today, when you hear a story, when you feel a sound, you do not need writing to understand. You only need to feel. And perhaps that is how ancient humans lived, not without language, but within a different kind of language, one closer to emotion, to imagery, to symbol. Jung once wrote, "The dream is the small hidden door in the deepest and most intimate sanctum of the soul." And if you think of cave paintings, you may see them as dreams placed upon stone, not to explain, but to express. If you remain a little longer, you may feel the idea of primitive dissolve, no longer a lack, but another form of completeness, a form of intelligence that does not need to build cities to prove it exists. If you continue drifting, you may realize that a part of you still understands that language, a part that responds to images, to symbols, to what cannot be spoken, a part still very close to ancient humans. If you allow that part to emerge, your mind may slow. No need to analyze everything, no need to understand logically, only feel. If you go deeper, the distance between modern and ancient begins to dissolve. No longer two separate worlds, only two expressions of the same mind, one outward, one inward, and you are in between. If you let go a little more, all concepts become lighter. Civilization, primitive, progress, all dissolving. Only experience remains. If you stay in that state a little longer, you may feel that you no longer need to understand anything more. No need to search, no need to define, only be there, light, still, deep. And in that stillness, images fade, thoughts slow, and you begin to drift further away into a space that is very soft, very vast, very dark, yet very safe, as if you are returning to a very old place where humans once dreamed, once painted, once lived, before there were any explanations. And there, you do not need to understand, only sleep. And as you remain in that space, where ancient images appear and dissolve, you may begin to feel something very subtle, that the intelligence of ancient humans was never something that needed to be proven. It was always there, quietly, not loud, not displayed, but very deep. If you imagine a person standing in a cave, under flickering firelight, slowly painting an animal on stone, you may realize that this act is not just drawing, it is connection between inner and outer, between what they see and what they feel. Carl Gustav Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." And perhaps, if we feel confusion toward ancient humans, it reveals a distance between us and ourselves. If you stay with this idea, you may see that we have not necessarily gone further than them, but simply moved in another direction, outward, while they went inward. If you continue drifting deeper, you may feel that the symbols they created are not only in the past, they are still alive, in your dreams, in feelings you cannot name, in moments when something feels very deep, yet cannot be explained. Jung called this the collective unconscious, the deepest layer of the psyche, containing inherited patterns and symbols, and perhaps cave paintings, ancient rituals, were the first expressions of that layer. If you allow yourself to feel this, you may realize that you are not separate from ancient humans. You carry them within your own mind. If you go deeper, the difference between modern and ancient fades. No longer clear, no longer important, only a long flow of consciousness remains. And you are part of that flow. If you let go a little more, your thoughts begin to slow. No need to understand more. No need to analyze. Only feel. And in that feeling, you may sense a very deep quiet, very soft, very gentle, as if you are sitting in an ancient cave, listening to the wind, the fire, and your own breath. If you remain there, you may feel sleep drawing closer, not rushed, not strong, simply, gently arriving, and you do not need to do anything, only let go, a little lighter, a little deeper, until all images fade, all thoughts settle, and you drift into sleep, carrying traces, very ancient, yet very familiar, of yourself. The hypothesis of population and fragile progress. As you continue drifting gently within reflections on ancient intelligence, where humans already knew how to feel, symbolize, and connect, another idea begins to emerge, quietly, yet very important, that perhaps the issue was not that humans were not intelligent enough to create civilization earlier, but they did not have the conditions to preserve what they knew. If you imagine small groups of people scattered across vast lands, you may see that each community was like an island, no continuous connection, no system to store knowledge, no writing to record it. Everything depended on memory, and memory is fragile. If one person knew how to create a better tool and passed away before sharing it, that knowledge disappeared. If a group developed a deeper understanding of nature, but later faced disaster or dissolved, then everything they knew faded away as well. And so, knowledge did not accumulate. It repeated, not moving upward in a straight line, but like waves, rising, then dissolving. Carl Gustav Jung once wrote, "Every form of addiction is bad, no matter whether the narcotic be alcohol, morphine, or idealism." And perhaps, today, we have become accustomed to the idea that progress must be continuous, must rise, must accumulate. But for most of human history, that was not the rule. Progress is fragile, very fragile. If you pause and feel this, you may see that it is not only true of the past, it is also true of you. You may learn something very deep, but if it is not nurtured, it fades. You may understand something clearly, but if it is not revisited, it disappears. If you go deeper, you may realize that intelligence is not only about having, it is about retaining. And to retain requires an environment, a network, a connection, something ancient humans may have lacked. If you imagine a world where each generation must relearn almost everything from the beginning, you may feel a clear slowing, not because they could not go further, but because they always had to begin again, like building a house on sand, only for waves to wash it away, and then building again. If you stay with that image, you may feel a deep quiet, no tragedy, no drama, only a cycle, a rhythm, very slow, very steady, and perhaps people of that time were familiar with that rhythm, not expecting everything to accumulate forever, not needing to leave lasting traces, only to pass things on in the moment, to live fully in the present. Jung once said, "We cannot change anything until we accept it," and perhaps they accepted the fragility of knowledge as a natural part of life, not resisting it, not trying to control it, simply living with it. If you remain a little longer, you may feel your view of progress begin to shift, no longer a straight, upward line, but a wave, sometimes high, sometimes low, sometimes clear, sometimes dissolving. If you continue drifting deeper, you may realize that within this discontinuing, whirring, there is a kind of freedom, not bound to keep everything, not pressured to accumulate forever, only to experience and let it pass. If you allow yourself to feel this, you may sense a clear lightness, as if you no longer need to hold everything in your mind, no need to remember, no need to control, no need to accumulate, only to be there. If you let go a little more, you may feel your thoughts begin to slow, ideas come and go, like small waves, no need to hold, no need to follow, only to observe. If you go deeper, you may feel that you no longer need to understand everything, no need to connect all the points, no need to create a complete picture, because perhaps that picture was never meant to be complete. If you remain in that state a little longer, you may feel a deep stillness, very soft, very vast, like a calm surface of water without ripples. And in that space, you do not need to do anything. No need to think, no need to remember, no need to hold, only drift, lighter, slower, deeper, until everything gradually dissolves and you gently drift into sleep, like waves of knowledge long ago that once rose and then settled into the long quiet of time. The repetition below is preserved exactly as requested, without omission. As you continue drifting gently within reflections on ancient intelligence, where humans already knew how to feel, symbolize, and connect, another idea begins to emerge, quietly yet very important, that perhaps the issue was not that humans were not intelligent enough to create civilization earlier, but they did not have the conditions to preserve what they knew. If you imagine small groups of people scattered across vast lands, you may see that each community was like an island, no continuous connection, no system to store knowledge, no writing to record it. Everything depended on memory, and memory is fragile. If one person knew how to create a better tool and passed away before sharing it, that knowledge disappeared. If a group developed a deeper understanding of nature, but later faced disaster or dissolved, then everything they knew faded away as well. And so, knowledge did not accumulate, it repeated, not moving upward in a straight line, but like waves, rising, then dissolving. Carl Gustav Jung once wrote, "Every form of addiction is bad, no matter whether the narcotic be alcohol, morphine, or idealism. And perhaps, today, we have become accustomed to the idea that progress must be continuous, must rise, must accumulate. But for most of human history, that was not the rule. Progress is fragile, very fragile. If you pause and feel this, you may see that it is not only true of the past, it is also true of you. You may learn something very deep, but if it is not nurtured, it fades. You may understand something clearly, but if it is not revisited, it disappears. If you go deeper, you may realize that intelligence is not only about having, it is about retaining. And to retain requires an environment, a network, a connection, something ancient humans may have lacked. If you imagine a world where each generation must relearn almost everything from the beginning, you may feel a clear slowing, not because they could not go further, but because they always had to begin again. Like building a house on sand, only for waves to wash it away, and then building again. If you stay with that image, you may feel a deep quiet, no tragedy, no drama, only a cycle, a rhythm, very slow, very steady. And perhaps people of that time were familiar with that rhythm, not expecting everything to accumulate forever, not needing to leave lasting traces, only to pass things on in the moment, to live fully in the present. Jung once said, "We cannot change anything until we accept it." And perhaps they accepted the fragility of knowledge as a natural part of life, not resisting it, not trying to control it, simply living with it. If you remain a little longer, you may feel your view of progress begin to shift. No longer a straight upward line, but a wave. Sometimes high, sometimes low, sometimes clear, sometimes dissolving. If you continue drifting deeper, you may realize that within this discontinuity, there is a kind of freedom, not bound to keep everything, not pressured to accumulate forever, only to experience and let it pass. If you allow yourself to feel this, you may sense a clear lightness, as if you no longer need to hold everything in your mind. No need to remember, no need to control, no need to accumulate, only to be there. If you let go a little more, you may feel your thoughts begin to slow. Ideas come and go, like small waves. No need to hold, no need to follow, only to observe. If you go deeper, you may feel that you no longer need to understand everything. No need to connect all the points. No need to create a complete picture, because perhaps that picture was never meant to be complete. If you remain in that state a little longer, you may feel a deep stillness, very soft, very vast, like a calm surface of water without ripples. And in that space, you do not need to do anything. No need to think, no need to remember, no need to hold, only drift, lighter, slower, deeper, until everything gradually dissolves, and you gently drift into sleep, like waves of knowledge long ago that once rose and then settled into the long quiet of time, the Toba catastrophe near extinction. As you continue, drifting within the feeling of those reset cycles of knowledge, where each generation may begin again, another image begins to appear, deeper, darker, yet very real. A moment when not only knowledge, but nearly all human life stood at the edge of disappearance. Around 74000 years ago, a supervolcano called Toba erupted, not like a normal eruption, but like a transformation of the entire planet. The sky darkened, sunlight was blocked, temperatures dropped, a volcanic winter followed, collapsing ecosystems. If you imagine that, you may feel a strange stillness. Not peaceful, but a silence after everything stops. Plants died, animals disappeared, and humans were no longer at the top, but became one of the species struggling just to survive. Scientists suggest the human population may have dropped to only a few thousand individuals, a very small number compared to billions today. If you pause and feel this, you may sense a deep fragility, that our existence has never been certain. Carl Gustav Jung once wrote, "Life really does begin at 40. Up until then, you are just doing research." And seen another way, almost all human history before that moment may have been nearly erased, not by intention, but by nature. If you imagine small groups surviving that catastrophe, you may see they did not carry libraries, no systems of knowledge, no civilization. They only carried what remained in memory. And memory, in a collapsing world, fades easily. If someone knew how to craft something refined and did not survive, that knowledge vanished. If a group once had symbols, stories, deep understanding, but not enough people remained to sustain them, then all of it disappeared. If you stay with this image, you may feel a deep quiet, no drama, no noise, only loss, very slow, very complete. And perhaps this catastrophe cleared almost everything humans had built before. Once again, a reset. But on a much larger scale, if you go deeper, you may realize that those who survived did not just relearn tools, but had to relearn how to be human in a different world, colder, harsher, with fewer resources. If you pause and feel this, you may feel a natural respect arise. For those people, they survived, not because they were stronger, but because they were more adaptable, more flexible, and perhaps more able to let go. Jung once said, "I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become." And perhaps those after Toba and did not carry the past as a burden, they did not try to hold on to everything lost, they simply continued. If you stay with this, you may feel a lightness, that sometimes loss is not an ending, but another beginning. If you continue drifting, you may realize that in your own life, there are also small Toba moments, events that change everything, moments when what you built disappears, times when you must begin again, and then you do not carry everything, only what truly matters. If you allow yourself to feel this, you may see that loss is not only pain, it is also selection, a natural one. If you let go a little more, you may feel you no longer need to hold everything. No need to cling to the past. No need to keep every memory. No need to hold every thought. Only let it pass, like time itself, flowing through tens of thousands of years, carrying everything, and then leaving behind silence. If you go deeper, everything slows. Images fade, thoughts settle. Only a vast space remains, very quiet, very deep. And within that space, you do not need to do anything. Only be there and gently drift into sleep, like what remains after a great storm. Not chaos, but a deep stillness. And as you remain in that stillness after the storm, you may begin to feel something subtle, that after every destruction, there is a space empty, yet because of that, full of possibility. Carl Gustav Jung once wrote, "In all chaos, there is a cosmos. In all disorder, a secret order." And perhaps, even in the Toba catastrophe, within that near-total loss, there was a hidden order. Not human-made, but nature's, a rebalancing, a renewal. If you imagine survivors emerging, you may see they no longer carried complexity, nothing much to remember, nothing much to keep, only the essentials: food, warmth, connection, and perhaps, in that reduction, another kind of intelligence appeared. Not the intelligence of accumulation, but of selection. If you stay with this, you may feel a gentle lightness, that not everything lost is something to regret. Some things must disappear, so that what matters can remain. If you continue drifting, you may feel your own mind quietly letting go. Old thoughts, repeated worries, memories no longer needed, like a small inner Toba, slowly clearing space. If you allow it, you may feel lighter. No need to carry everything, only what matters. If you let go more, thoughts thin out, spaces between them widen, and within that space, you begin to feel rest. If you go deeper, you no longer need to understand the whole story. No need to explain everything, because perhaps what matters is not knowing, but feeling the fragility of life, the possibility of beginning again, the quiet after everything. And as everything fades, you gently drift into sleep, recovery, and turning point. As you remain within the stillness after the catastrophe, where everything has been renewed in a profound way, a very subtle movement begins to appear. Not an immediate explosion, but a recovery. Slow, quiet, yet steady. Those who survived the event did not simply continue to exist. They carried within them something very special. Not complete knowledge, not a fully formed civilization, but the ability to adapt. If you imagine the generations that followed, growing up in a harsher world, you may see that they had no choice but to become flexible, to observe more, to learn faster, to respond better, and gradually, over tens of thousands of years, something began to accumulate. Not structures, not cities, but behavior. Scientists call this behavioral modernity, the modernity in how humans act. Around 5,000 years ago, a clear shift appears. Tools become more diverse, art more abundant, jewelry more refined, rituals more complex, as if humans were not only living, but beginning to express themselves. If you pause and feel this, you may sense a very subtle transformation, not from no intelligence to intelligence, but from inner intelligence, moving outward. Carl Gustav Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." And perhaps this period marks the moment when what lay deep within the human mind began to manifest. No longer only felt, but acted. No longer only intuition, but symbol. If you stay with this idea, you may feel a strangely familiar resonance, because in your own life, there are moments like this, when something you have long felt is finally spoken, expressed, seen. If you go deeper, you may realize that even with this explosion of behavior, humans had not yet created civilization. No cities, no writing, no complex systems of organization. So then, what was still missing? This question does not need an immediate answer. You can simply remain with it, gently. If you feel more deeply, you may sense that what was missing was not intelligence, not ability, but connection. Not emotional connection, but connection between humans on a larger scale, a network, a system, a way to preserve and transmit, not only through memory, but through structure. If you imagine an idea appearing, but existing only within a small group, it may disappear at any moment. But if that idea is shared, preserved, passed across generations, it begins to endure. Perhaps what was missing then was the ability to accumulate sustainably. If you remain with this idea, you may see that the behavioral explosion was like a wave rising, but with no shore to reach, no structure to hold it, and so it continued to drift. If you continue drifting deeper, you may realize that within you there are things like this as well: ideas, feelings, possibilities that have appeared but have not yet been held through stable action, not yet become a lasting part of your life. If you allow yourself to feel this, you may see that development is not only about gaining more, it is about retaining, nurturing, sustaining. If you let go a little more, you may feel everything slowing, no longer a question needing answers, no longer a problem to solve, only a flow. If you go deeper, you may feel that you do not need to know exactly what was missing, because perhaps it will naturally appear when the time is right, just as civilization later did. Not suddenly, but when conditions were ready. If you remain in that state a little longer, you may feel a deep stillness, very light, very soft, like a pause between two great movements of history. And within that pause, you do not need to do anything. No need to understand, no need to search, no need to conclude, only to be there. If you let go a little more, you may feel your thoughts dissolving, questions fading, images settling. Only a vast space remains, very deep, very quiet. And within that space, you gently drift, slower, deeper, until you no longer clearly feel each thought, and only a soft stillness remains, guiding you, little by little, into sleep. And as you remain within that transition, where humans had awakened in behavior, but had not yet entered civilization, you may begin to sense something very subtle, that sometimes what is missing is not something immediately visible, not tools, not intelligence, but timing. Carl Gustav Jung once wrote, "Everything that is not conscious will be experienced as fate." And perhaps, for tens of thousands of years, humans carried great potential within them, yet it remained unripened, not yet ready to crystallize into stable systems. If you imagine a seed, you may see that it contains the full potential of a tree, but without the right soil, without water, without light, it cannot grow. Not because it lacks ability, but because the environment is not ready. If you stay with this image, you may feel that humans of that time were like seeds, full of potential, already sprouting, but not yet able to become a forest. If you continue drifting deeper, you may realize this is also true within you. There are potentials within you that have existed for a long time, yet have not appeared, not because you lack them, but because the time has not yet come. If you allow yourself to feel this, you may sense a gentle lightness. No need to rush, no need to force things to happen immediately. Some things require time. If you go deeper, you may feel that the lack in the earlier question begins to soften. No longer a troubling absence, but a waiting space, a necessary pause. before something greater emerges. If you remain in that pause a little longer, you may feel everything slowing, ideas no longer rushing, questions no longer demanding answers, only a steady rhythm, very soft. If you let go a little more, you may feel you no longer need to follow your thoughts, no need to grasp them, no need to understand them all, only let them pass, like slow-moving clouds drifting across the sky. If you go deeper, you may feel your mind becoming more spacious, more quiet, more light. And within that space, you no longer need to search for anything, because everything is already enough. In this very moment, if you remain a little longer, you may feel sleep drawing nearer, not urgent, not forceful, simply gently appearing. And you do not need to do anything, only let go, a little more, a little deeper, until all thoughts dissolve, all questions settle, and you drift into sleep like a seed, resting quietly, waiting for the right moment to bloom. Cities swallowed by the sea. As you remain in that quiet space of not yet, where seeds of awareness are waiting to emerge, another image begins to appear, slowly but deeply. A world that once existed, but is no longer here, not because it never was, but because it was swallowed. After the Ice Age, if you pause and picture it, you may see that entire coastal lands, where humans most often lived, gradually disappeared. Not in a single moment, but over thousands of years, slowly, silently, like a long breath of the earth. Places that were once plains and became sea. Places once filled with movement became ocean floor. Places once holding memory became silence. Scientists name these lost lands Doggerland, once connecting Britain to Europe; Sunderland, once a vast region in Southeast Asia. But today, they are no longer on the map. They exist only in speculation and in water. Carl Gustav Jung once said, "The sea is the favorite symbol for the unconscious." And perhaps it is not by chance that the ocean covers the parts of history we cannot remember, as if the planet itself has an unconscious, a place that holds what once existed, but is no longer on the surface. If you stay with this image, you may feel a deep quiet, not a loud loss, no collapse, only a sinking, slow, soft, irreversible. If you go deeper, you may realize that coastal lands were the easiest places for humans to live. Water, food, stable climate. And so, if any early form of civilization existed, it may have been there. But when waters rose, all traces disappeared, leaving no clear ruins, no obvious evidence, only gaps. If you pause and feel this, you may see that the question, "Why do we not have evidence?" may not be because there is nothing to find, but because we are looking in the wrong place. If most of history lies beneath the ocean, then what we know may be only a small part, a visible fragment of something vast that has sunk. If you continue drifting, you may feel a natural humility arise, that our understanding is incomplete, and perhaps will always be. Jung once wrote, "The unconscious is vast and inexhaustible, and perhaps the ocean is its physical reflection, deep, wide, unending." If you remain with this feeling, you may find that not knowing is no longer uncomfortable. It becomes a space to imagine, to feel, to accept that some things will always remain beyond reach. If you go deeper, you may realize that within your own mind, there are also submerged regions. memories you no longer recall, experiences that have passed, feelings that have settled, not gone, only no longer on the surface. If you allow yourself to feel this, you may sense a gentle peace. No need to remember everything. No need to understand everything. Some things can remain in the depths. If you let go a little more, you may feel your mind like water, the surface, calming, ripples, fading, and beneath, a vast space, deep, quiet. If you continue drifting, you may feel you no longer need to search for what has been lost, only to accept that it exists somewhere. If you remain in that state, you may feel thoughts fading, questions settling, images dissolving. Only a soft darkness remains, very gentle, very safe, and within that space, you do not need to do anything, only drift, lighter, slower, deeper, like ancient lands that sank beneath the waters and remain there in the long quiet of time, and you, as well, gently drift into sleep. And as you remain with the image of submerged lands, you may begin to feel something very subtle, that the ocean does not only swallow, it also holds. Carl Gustav Jung once said, "The unconscious does not forget anything." And perhaps what has disappeared from the surface has not truly disappeared. It has simply shifted into another form of being, hidden deeper. If you imagine, beneath the deep waters, structures, traces, untold stories still remain. You may feel a very particular silence, not empty, but full of what once existed, full of unspoken memory. If you go deeper, you may notice that the ocean is never hurried. It does not destroy violently. It simply covers, little by little, like time. And within that gradual covering, everything softens, edges wear down, clarity fades, until only stillness remains. If you stay with this, you may feel it mirrors your own mind. Old memories do not vanish instantly. They settle, they sink, and become part of your deeper ground. If you allow this, you may feel you do not need to hold everything at the surface. No need to remember every detail. No need to cling to what has passed. Some things can be allowed to sink. If you let go a little more, you may feel your current thoughts softening, less sharp, less gripping. They pass more slowly, more gently. If you continue drifting, you may feel as if you are floating on water. No effort, no control, only surrender and let your body be held. If you go deeper, sounds grow distant, thoughts grow faint. Only a slow rhythm remains, like waves. If you remain there, you may realize you no longer need to search for what is lost. No need to know what lies beneath, only to accept that parts of history and parts of you will always remain in the depths, and that is enough. If you let go a little more, you may feel sleep very close, not sudden, not strong, just gentle, like water covering everything. And as you allow yourself to drift, you may feel you no longer need to hold any thought. No need to hold any image, only drift a little lighter, a little deeper, until everything dissolves and you gently sink into sleep within a stillness very deep, very soft, like the ocean. Submerged ruins, unresolved mysteries. As you continue to drift softly within the feeling of the ocean, where lands have sunk and memories have settled into the depths, another image begins to emerge, blurred, yet deeply evocative. Not a clear answer, but traces. Beneath the sea, in places where light barely reaches, humans have discovered strange structures. Yonaguni, off the coast of Japan, Gulf of Kambat in India, stone formations that resemble steps, walls, arranged constructions. If you look at them, you may feel something very unusual, that they are both familiar and distant, as if they belong to a world you no longer clearly remember, yet still feel connected to. Scientists debate, are these products of nature or traces of human activity? There is no certain answer, no definitive evidence, only hypotheses. If you pause and feel this, you may realize that this uncertainty is not a flaw, but a space where imagination and perception can exist. Carl Gustav Jung once said, "The pendulum of the mind oscillates between sense and nonsense, not between right and wrong." And perhaps these underwater ruins exist precisely at that point, between logic and mystery, between science and intuition. If you remain with this image, you may feel a gentle expansion in your mind. No need to decide immediately, no need to choose right or wrong, only to be there, observing. If you go deeper, you may realize that not knowing can bring a very special feeling, a feeling of wonder, that the world still holds undiscovered things, that not everything has been explained, and that makes everything more alive. If you continue drifting deeper, you may see that these structures, whether natural or artificial, still raise a profound question, that perhaps our history is not as simple as we think, not a clear straight line, but a fabric with many layers. Some layers have surfaced, some layers have sunk. If you pause and feel this, you may notice that uncertainty is no longer something to resolve. It becomes part of the experience, part of the exploration. If you go deeper still, you may realize that within your own mind, there are such ruins as well. Vague memories, unclear images, feelings without names. Not completely gone, but not fully clear either. They exist there, between consciousness and the unconscious. If you allow yourself to feel this, you may sense a gentle peace. No need to understand everything, no need to clarify everything. Some things can remain in a state of not knowing. If you let go a little more, you may feel your thoughts slowing, no longer trying to analyze, no longer trying to conclude, only drifting. If you continue drifting deeper, you may feel your mind becoming wider, more open, lighter, like the ocean. No need to define every detail, only to contain. If you remain in that state a little longer, you may feel all images beginning to fade, structures dissolving into water, questions settling. Only a very soft space remains, deep, quiet, and within that space, you do not need to do anything. No need to know, no need to understand, no need to decide, only to be there. If you let go a little more, you may feel sleep drawing very near, not hurried, not forceful, only gentle, like water, embracing everything. If you allow yourself to drift with that feeling, you may notice you are no longer holding on to any thought, no longer clinging to any question, only drifting, a little deeper, a little slower, until everything dissolves and you gently sink into sleep, among mysteries that remain unexplained, yet feel deeply peaceful. And as you remain within that feeling of not knowing, not rushing to fill it, not trying to explain, you may begin to notice something very subtle, that some questions do not need answers. Not because they are unimportant, but because they open a space wider than any answer could. Carl Gustav Jung once said, "To ask the right question is already half the solution." And perhaps, standing before these underwater ruins, not knowing what they truly are, is already part of the journey. A journey not toward conclusions, but toward feeling. If you imagine yourself diving into the water, slowly, gently, as the light above fades, and before you, shapes begin to blur, you may feel a very special stillness. Not emptiness, but a deep presence, as if you are in a space, without language, without definition, only experience. If you remain with that feeling, you may notice your mind beginning to change. No longer rushing, no longer trying to understand quickly, only opening. If you go deeper, you may realize that these underwater structures, whether natural or human-made, are like symbols in a dream. They do not need to be right or wrong, they only need to be seen. To be felt. Jung once wrote, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart." And perhaps the mysteries outside are simply a way of guiding you inward, to realize that within you there are parts that cannot be explained by logic. If you allow yourself to stay with that, you may feel a gentle relaxation. No need to clarify everything, no need to control every question. Some things can be allowed to remain in ambiguity. If you let go a little more, you may feel your thoughts becoming fewer, the space between them wider, softer. If you continue drifting, you may feel as if you are floating in water, weightless, without pressure, only a gentle support. If you go deeper, sounds grow distant, images fade. Only a slow rhythm remains, like waves. If you remain there, you may realize you no longer need answers. No need to know what lies beneath the sea. No need to solve every mystery. Only to accept that the world and your own mind contain depths that do not need to be fully illuminated, and that is enough. If you let go a little more, you may feel sleep very close, not urgent, not strong, only gentle, like water, covering everything. If you allow yourself to drift, you may feel you are no longer holding any thought, no longer holding any question, only drifting, a little deeper, a little slower, until everything dissolves and you gently sink into sleep, among mysteries that need no answers, yet bring a very deep peace. Göbekli Tepe, a discovery that breaks history. There is a very special moment in humanity's journey of exploring the past when a new discovery appears and quietly shakes everything we once believed to be true. And Göbekli Tepe is such a moment. Located on a dry hill in Turkey, a place that seems to hold nothing but earth and wind, archaeologists discovered massive stone pillars, intricately carved, dating back over 11600 years, a number that invites you to pause for a long time, to truly feel what it means. Because at that time, according to what we had learned, humans were still hunter-gatherers, living in scattered groups, without cities, without writing, without complex social organization. Yet before us stands a large-scale structure, requiring the cooperation of hundreds, perhaps thousands of people, with construction techniques, coordination, and perhaps a shared system of belief. And here, a deep paradox begins to form. If those pre-civilized humans could create something like this, then perhaps our definition of civilization has never been complete. Perhaps civilization did not begin with agriculture, but with the moment humans came together to believe in something invisible, strong enough to bring them together, a shared meaning, a shared symbol, something beyond mere survival. Carl Gustav Jung once wrote, "Man cannot stand a meaningless life," and perhaps this need for meaning appeared long before humans learned to plant seeds. If you imagine those ancient people, without technology, without metal, only stone and bare hands, yet still gathering to raise massive pillars, you may begin to feel something very unusual, that their motivation was not only survival, but a search for deeper connection with the world. The carvings on the pillars, animals, symbols, ritual-like imagery, all suggest that this was not merely a structure, but a sacred space, a place where people gathered, not to eat, not to shelter, but to feel something greater than themselves. And if that is true, then Göbekli Tepe is not only an archaeological site, but a doorway opening into an entirely different understanding of humanity. Perhaps before agriculture, before cities, humans already had spirituality, and that spirituality laid the foundation for civilization, not the other way around. Not because surplus food led to temples, but perhaps the desire to build sacred places led humans to seek stable food sources, a subtle reversal, yet powerful enough to change the entire story. If you stay with this idea, you may begin to feel a deep connection between past and present. Because even today, in a world full of technology, humans still seek meaning, still ask questions, still look toward the sky, still wish to understand their place in the universe. And perhaps this is not a modern trait, but something ancient that has always lived within us. Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And perhaps that journey did not begin now, but long ago, with people standing on barren land, looking at the sky and deciding to build something, not only for the body, but for the Bedi, Asul. If you imagine yourself standing there, among the ancient pillars, in the soft light of sunset, wind passing through silent stones, you may feel a deep stillness. No modern noise, no urgency, only space and time stretching endlessly. And in that moment, you may feel that you are not separate from those ancient people. You carry the same longing, the same curiosity, the same desire to understand and connect. If you let that feeling expand, your mind may slow, thoughts becoming lighter, as if they no longer need immediate answers. Because some questions have existed for tens of thousands of years and remain unanswered. And that does not make them less important, but more profound. Göbekli Tepe, therefore, is not only a mystery, but a reminder that human history is not a simple straight line from primitive to civilized, but a complex flow with turns, forgotten paths, and truths hidden beneath time. And as we explore these things, we are not only learning about the past, but slowly understanding ourselves. If you let go a little more, you may feel that this story does not need a clear conclusion. It only asks you to remain with that sense of wonder to a little longer, that the world is larger than you think, and humans deeper than you once believed. And within that gentle realization, your body begins to relax, your breath slows, your mind drifts into quietness. And perhaps, within that quiet, you may understand that sometimes what matters most is not knowing all the answers, but learning to live with the questions peacefully. The lost civilization hypothesis. As we move away from the silent pillars of Göbekli Tepe and leave behind that sacred nameless feeling, another question begins to rise, slowly, like an incomplete memory. If humans had the ability to build, to symbolize, to connect so early, then could it be that something even greater once existed but has disappeared? A civilization not written in books, without clear traces, yet leaving faint echoes, like a dream we only partially remember upon waking. The hypothesis of a lost civilization is not a firm conclusion, but like a mist, drifting quietly between science and imagination. It is said that at the end of the Ice Age, around 1,200,000 years ago, Earth underwent sudden changes, often called the Younger Dryas. Temperatures dropped sharply, ice returned, ecosystems shifted, and perhaps, if humans had reached a certain level of development, everything could have been erased, not by an explosion, but by slow, irreversible change. And if that happened, what remained was not cities, not technology, but memory. Not clear memory, but fragments, oral stories, myths of a golden age, lands swallowed by the sea, knowledge passed down from ancients, stories that, when viewed through logic, may seem doubtful, yet, when felt through intuition, seem strangely familiar. Carl Gustav Jung once wrote, "The collective unconscious contains the whole spiritual heritage of mankind's evolution, and perhaps, if lost civilizations existed, their traces are not only in the earth, but within the structure of our minds, recurring mythic images, symbols across cultures, as if humanity remembers something, but not completely. If you allow yourself to imagine, not to believe, but simply to feel, you may sense an ancient world where humans understood nature differently. Not to control, but to harmonize. Not to exploit, but to listen. And then something happened. Climate, disaster, disruption. Survivors carried fragments, but not enough to rebuild everything. And over time, those memories faded into myths, into stories whose origins we no longer know. If you stay with this feeling, you may notice that what makes this idea compelling is not whether it is true or false, but how it touches something deep within, a sense that something has been forgotten, a nostalgia without a source, a quiet urge to remember without knowing what. Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious." And perhaps these faint memories of humanity work the same way, not clearly visible, yet still shaping how we see the world, how we seek meaning, how we feel the past. If you let go a little more, you may see that this story does not need resolution. It asks you neither to believe nor to reject, only to remain in an open space, where uncertainty becomes comfortable, where not knowing becomes a doorway into stillness. You may imagine yourself standing by the sea at night, waves moving gently, like the breath of the earth. Beneath the water, there may be lands once lived upon, stories once told, lives once lived. Now, all resting without needing to be remembered, and you simply standing there, not searching, not digging, only feeling. and slowly, your mind quiets. Questions soften, no longer needing immediate answers. A space opens, not empty, but restful. And in that space, you may let go. No need to hold every thought. No need to pursue every question. Only breathe slowly. Feel your body grow heavier and let your mind drift like a calm current. If you remain here, sleep comes closer, soft, gentle, unannounced, simply arriving. And as your final thoughts dissolve, you may realize that, too, whether or not a lost civilization existed, whether or not the past holds more mysteries, right now, you are here, safe, quiet, ready to rest. Let all questions drift away like waves and allow yourself to sink into sleep naturally, peacefully. And as you remain by that imagined shore, watching waves touch and retreat, you may feel something subtle. That memory does not always exist in clear forms. Sometimes it is only a feeling, a familiarity without explanation, a nostalgia without shape. Carl Gustav Jung called these archetypes ancient patterns, living deep within the collective unconscious, expressing themselves through dreams, myths, stories repeated across time. And perhaps the idea of a lost civilization is not just a historical question, but an expression of those archetypes, a way the human mind tries to tell something it no longer clearly remembers. If you remain with this thought, you may see that the question is no longer about truth, but about feeling, a sense that something once existed, something important, now forgotten. If you let go a little more, you may feel no need to search for it, no need to piece it together, no need for a final answer, only to accept that some depths of history, like the depths of the ocean, remain beyond reach. And that is not a flaw, but part of the beauty. If you go deeper, you may feel that this incompleteness creates a vast space for rest. No pressure to understand, no pressure to remember, no pressure to rewrite, only presence. And as your body grows heavier, your thoughts more distant, until only deep stillness remains, you may find that all questions no longer matter. They are simply waves that have passed. And within that stillness, you drift gently, softly, into sleep, within a vast world full of mystery and peace. Global catastrophe and the Great Flood myth. As we continue to drift deeper into the blurred layers of human memory, moving away from the hypothesis of lost civilizations, another image begins to emerge, more powerful, yet strangely familiar. It is the image of water, not gentle flowing water, but rising waves, sweeping everything away, leaving behind a silent world. Stories of a great flood appear across many different cultures, from east to west, from lands that never directly connected. And this leads one to wonder, is it merely coincidence or a memory preserved in a very particular way? People speak of the Younger Dryas, a period around 12800 years ago, when Earth's climate changed abruptly. Temperatures dropped, glaciers returned, ecosystems were disrupted, and some hypotheses suggest that one or more meteorites struck the Earth, causing widespread wildfires, leaving behind layers of black matte, traces of rare metals, like scars still embedded within the soil. But what makes this story deeper is not only the geological evidence, but how it is reflected in human memory. Across the world, people tell of a great flood that wiped out nearly all life, leaving only a few survivors who then rebuilt the world. These stories differ in detail, yet feel similar in essence. A great loss, a slow rebirth, and a memory of water as a force both nourishing and destructive. Carl Gustav Jung once wrote, "Myths are the original revelations of the preconscious psyche." And perhaps these flood myths are not merely imagined stories, but a way for the human mind to record an experience so vast, so deep, that it could not be preserved in ordinary historical form. Instead, it became symbol, story, imagery, passed down, even when its origin is no longer remembered. If you allow yourself to feel this, you may imagine ancient people standing before a rapidly changing world. Waters rising, lands disappearing, the sky becoming unfamiliar, everything they once knew slowly drifting away. And in that moment, they did not only lose their homes, but also their sense of stability, the feeling that the world was predictable. And when they survived, they carried that memory, not as a precise record, but as a feeling, a deep impression, passed from one generation to the next. Over time, it changed, merged with culture, became stories, each culture telling it differently, yet preserving a shared core. If you remain with this idea, you may feel the boundary between science and myth soften. No longer right or wrong, true or false, but two ways of approaching the same reality. Science seeks evidence, measures, analyzes. Myth preserves feeling, experience, meaning. Jung once said, "The dream is a little hidden door in the innermost and most secret recesses of the soul." And perhaps ancient myths are like the dreams of humanity, not to be decoded literally, but to be felt as a doorway into deeper layers of awareness. If you let go a little more, you may see that this story does not require you to believe in a meteorite or a specific flood. It only invites you to feel something very simple, that humanity, for a very long time, has gone through great upheavals and has found ways to preserve those memories in the only way it could. You may imagine yourself standing on high ground, looking out over a vast ocean where water and sky merge. No clear boundary, only a deep blue stretching endlessly. And within that space, you may feel a gentle smallness, not frightening, but peaceful. If you let that image expand, your mind begins to slow. Thoughts about causes, evidence, right and wrong fade into the distance. Only a soft feeling remains, as if you are being held by something larger. If you go deeper, you may realize that stories like this do not create tension, but help you let go, because you do not need to solve them. You only need to listen and let them pass, like waves. And when those waves settle, you may feel a deep stillness, a space where everything slows down, where you no longer need to seek answers, but simply rest. If you remain there a little longer, your body grows heavier, your breath slower, your mind drifting into a very quiet place. And in that space, stories of floods, of past catastrophes, are no longer frightening. They are simply distant memories, fading into stillness, and you can drift with them, gently, softly, into sleep, within a world that once moved violently, but now holds only peace. And as you remain within the image of the ocean, where the boundary between water and sky dissolves, you may begin to feel something subtle, that water is not only a physical element, it is memory, a very ancient form of memory, not stored in language, but in sensation. Carl Gustav Jung once said, "Water is the commonest symbol for the unconscious, and perhaps that is why flood stories appear everywhere, not only because of an event, but because water has always symbolized what lies beneath consciousness, what is hidden, what is forgotten, what once rose and changed everything." If you remain with this idea, you may see that the Great Flood is not only an external catastrophe, but an inner image, a moment when what has been suppressed, accumulated, finally rises and washes away old structures, and then everything begins again. If you let go a little more, you may feel that this story no longer carries destruction, but a natural rhythm, like tides, rising, falling, not rushed, not resisted, only movement. If you allow yourself to follow that rhythm, you may notice your mind doing the same. Thoughts come, then go, without needing to hold them, without needing to push them away, only to observe. And as you continue observing, gently, without judgment, you may feel the space between thoughts growing wider, quieter, softer. If you go deeper, you may feel as if you are lying on water, supported, without effort, no control needed, only relaxation. If you remain there a little longer, you may notice that all stories of catastrophe, of collective memory, of what was lost, become distant, not gone, but no longer heavy. They are simply waves that have passed, and you do not need to follow them. If you let go once more, you may feel your body sinking, gently, softly, as if returning to a familiar place, a place without questions, without pressure, only quiet. And in that quiet, sleep arrives, without announcement, without invitation, simply appearing. And if you allow yourself to follow that feeling, everything begins to dissolve, soften, fade, until only a gentle, deep space remains, and you drift softly into sleep among ancient waters, no longer carrying loss, only peace. Knowledge out of its time. As we move deeper into the shadowed regions of history, where the boundary between what is known and what cannot yet be explained softens, another kind of mystery appears. Not disasters, not submerged cities, but fragments of knowledge appearing out of place, as if they do not belong to their time. Artifacts, maps, records, holding a precision, a level of understanding that seems beyond human capability of their era. One example often mentioned is the Antikythera mechanism, a device found in a shipwreck off the coast of Greece. When studied, it revealed itself not as a simple object, but as a complex system of gears, capable of predicting planetary positions, eclipses, like an ancient computer. And what makes it remarkable is its age, over 2,000 years old, a time when, according to our understanding, such technology should not have existed. Then there is the Piri-Reis map, a 16th century map, which some suggest may depict Antarctica without ice. Though debated, it still evokes a strange feeling that perhaps its creators accessed knowledge not entirely of their time. And then, the Sumerian king list, an ancient record describing rulers with reigns lasting tens of thousands of years, numbers that seem impossible through modern logic, yet feel symbolic, as if attempting to express something beyond linear time. Placed together, these fragments do not form a clear answer. Instead, they create a feeling that something has been interrupted, as if knowledge has not always flowed continuously, but has been broken, lost, and then reappeared in different forms. Carl Gustav Jung once wrote, "Knowledge rests not upon truth alone, but upon error also." And perhaps, within these inconsistencies, lie deeper clues, not to prove everything wrong, but to remind us that our understanding is only a small part of a much larger whole. If you allow yourself to feel this, you may imagine human knowledge not as a straight line, but as a wave, rising, falling, clear, then fading. And these artifacts are like peaks, emerging, then sinking again, leaving questions behind. Jung once said, "The pendulum of the mind oscillates between sense and nonsense." And perhaps these mysteries move the same way, between logic and mystery, science and myth, explanation and feeling. If you let go a little more, you may see that you do not need to decide, only to feel that the world is deeper than it appears, that history is not a simple, linear story. And as you remain in that feeling, your mind slows, thoughts fade, images dissolve, until everything softens, and you drift gently into sleep within a world still full of unknowns, yet deeply peaceful, multiple human species coexisting. As we move away from these fragments of out-of-time knowledge, another doorway opens, gentle yet profound, no longer about what humans knew, but about what humans are, who we truly are, and who we once were, within the long flow of time. Because the deeper we go into the past, the more we realize that human was not always a single species. For a very long time, multiple human species existed. Neanderthals, strong, adapted to cold. Denisovans, more mysterious, known mainly through genetics. And Homo sapiens, our direct ancestors, were not alone. They lived together, shared space, not only competing, but also connecting. Genetic evidence shows we did not simply replace them. We blended. Neanderthal DNA still lives in many people today. Denisovan DNA remains in populations across Asia and Oceania. This means our history is not linear, but a network where streams meet, merge, and continue. If you pause and truly feel this, you may sense a subtle shift. You are not just a modern individual, but the result of countless encounters, intersections, biological memories, accumulated over hundreds of thousands of years. Jung once said, "In each of us there is another whom we do not know." And perhaps this is not only psychological, but biological. Within each of us, there truly are others, ancestors, quietly present. If you let this thought expand, you may imagine a world where many forms of humanity coexisted, different ways of seeing, feeling, living, meeting, sharing, transforming each other. And this makes the human story far richer. Not a single line, but a symphony. Many voices, gradually blending into what we now call the present. And as you rest in this feeling, you may realize you have never been alone. And you do not need to understand everything, only to rest, to soften and drift gently into sleep within a long, peaceful human flow. Ancient technologies difficult to explain. As we continue to move deeper into the layers of historical memory, where humanity is no longer a simple line of evolution, but a complex network of parallel existences, another question quietly emerges. If ancient humans were not as simple as we once believed, then perhaps what they created may also go far beyond what we currently attribute to them. In many places around the world, stone structures still stand, silent, yet deeply challenging. Massive stone blocks in the Andes, in what is now Peru, are fitted together with such precision that even a thin blade cannot slip between them. The pyramids of Egypt, with granite blocks weighing tens of tons, transported, positioned, and stacked with astonishing accuracy. It is not only the scale, but the refinement, the understanding of materials, of structure, and perhaps of principles we do not yet fully understand. There are traces suggesting that stone was drilled, cut with remarkable precision, perfectly round drill holes, smooth flat surfaces, sharp clean cuts, as if created by tools that, according to our current understanding, did not yet exist. And it is not only construction. There is also evidence of cranial surgery, with surprisingly high survival rates, suggesting that ancient humans not only understood the human body, but possessed skill, refinement, and a level of care beyond common expectation. When facing these things, the modern mind often reacts in two ways. Either it tries to explain them using known methods, or it doubts, even dismisses them. But if you pause for a moment, without rushing to conclusions, you may sense something different. Not, how did they do it, but how much have we truly understood them? Carl Gustav Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." And perhaps these ancient structures are irritating us, not to confuse us, but to open a deeper awareness of our own limits. If you allow yourself to imagine, not to replace science, but to expand your perception, you may picture those ancient people, not as less developed, but simply developed in a different direction. Perhaps they did not have electronics, nor modern machines, but they possessed a deep understanding of materials, of nature, of sound, of vibration. Some structures seem designed with special attention to acoustics. Sound echoes, reflects, resonates, as if the space was not only meant to be seen, but to be heard, to be felt. And if that is true, then these structures are not merely architecture, but instruments, serving experiences we do not yet fully understand. If you remain with this idea, you may begin to see that history is no longer a linear progression from simple to complex, but a vast tapestry with many directions. There are things we have advanced in, but perhaps there are also things we have forgotten. Jung once wrote, "The more we know about the past, the more we realize how little we know." And perhaps these unexplainable ancient technologies are a gentle reminder that our knowledge always has limits. If you soften a little more, you may realize that you do not need to explain everything. You do not need to know exactly what tools they used or how they worked. You only need to remain with that sense of wonder, a feeling that humanity is deeper than you think, that history is wider than you imagine, and that there are things still waiting to be understood, or perhaps never needing to be fully understood. If you let that feeling expand, your mind begins to slow, no longer rushing to analyze, no longer trying to find answers. Only a gentle curiosity remains, soft, quiet. If you go deeper, you may feel as if you are standing among those ancient stone structures in a quiet space where everything slows down. No noise, no pressure, only presence. And in that space, you do not need to understand. You only need to feel. If you remain there a little longer, you may notice your questions begin to drift away, not disappearing, but no longer holding your mind. They are simply waves, quietly receding. If you let go once more, your body grows heavier, your breath slower, your thoughts dissolve. Images of stone, of ancient structures, of mysterious techniques fade, grow distant, until only a deep stillness remains. And in that stillness, you no longer need to know, no longer need to understand, only to rest, to soften and drift gently into sleep within a world still full of unanswered questions, yet deeply peaceful. And as you remain within the space of those ancient stones, you may begin to sense something subtle, that these structures are not only products of technique, they are products of patience, of time, of a rhythm of life very different from today. Carl Gustav Jung once said, "In all chaos, there is a cosmos, in all disorder, a secret order." And perhaps what we are seeing in these structures is not unexplainable mystery, but a kind of order that we are not yet familiar with. If you stay with this idea, you may feel that perhaps ancient people did not need technology as we do. They may have worked with deeper focus, more direct understanding, a closer relationship with matter and nature, not through machines, but through perception. If you soften further, you may see that this does not make them greater or lesser, only different, another path, another way. If you go deeper, you may realize that this difference brings a quiet sense of ease. You do not need to compare. You do not need to decide who was more advanced, only to accept that humanity can develop in many directions, and each direction has its own beauty. If you let yourself drift with that feeling, your mind softens even more, no longer trying to explain everything, no longer needing to figure it out, only observation, very gentle. If you continue to let go, you may feel as if you are touching the surface of those stones, cool, stable, solid, and that sensation spreads, soothing your entire body. If you remain there a little longer, you may notice that questions about technology, about methods, about how, no longer matter. What remains is a feeling of permanence, of time, of presence. If you let go once more, your body becomes heavy, as if supported by the earth itself. Your final thoughts thin out, drift away, until only a deep stillness remains. And in that stillness, you are no longer standing before the mystery. You become part of it, quiet, slow, steady. If you allow yourself to follow that feeling, you will notice that sleep is no longer something to achieve. It simply arrives, naturally, softly, and you, gently, drift into sleep among ancient stones that have stood for thousands of years in a peace, unchanging, non-linear history. As we pass through ancient stone structures, through knowledge out of its time, through civilizations that may have been forgotten, a gentle realization begins to form, like a thin mist in the mind. Perhaps human history is not a straight line, not a continuous journey upward, from simple to complex, from darkness to light, as we are often told, but perhaps it is like a breath, a movement, rising, then falling, expanding, then returning, growing, collapsing, and then beginning again. If you pause and reflect on what we have seen, you may notice familiar patterns, civilizations rising, then disappearing, knowledge appearing, then being lost, structures built with precision, then buried beneath earth, water, and time. And this does not happen once. It repeats, quietly, gently, like waves. Carl Gustav Jung once said, "Life really does begin at 40. Up until then, you are just doing research." And perhaps, on a larger scale, human history is the same. Not a finished line, but a series of experiments, beginnings, lessons, and moments of forgetting. If you stay with this idea, you may feel a subtle shift. That progress does not always mean moving upward. Sometimes it means learning to rise again after loss. If you imagine history as a river, you will see that it does not flow straight. It bends, splits, sometimes strong, sometimes slow, sometimes disappearing underground, only to emerge again elsewhere. And knowledge is the same. It is not always preserved. It may be lost, not because humans lack intelligence, but because conditions change, because environments shift, because events occur beyond control. If you soften a little more, you may see that this does not make history unstable, but alive, because it reflects something natural. Everything changes. Nothing remains forever. No civilization lasts eternally. No knowledge is guaranteed to never be forgotten. Jung once wrote, "Even a happy life cannot be without a measure of darkness." And perhaps this is true for history as well. Periods of collapse are not failures, but part of a cycle, a balance between light and dark, between building and dissolving. If you let this idea expand, you may feel that it applies not only to the past, but also to your present. The world you live in is part of this cycle. And that is not something to fear. It is simply natural. If you go deeper, you may feel a quiet relief. You do not need to always move forward. You do not need to constantly improve, understand more, achieve more. You can pause. You can lose something and then begin again. If you stay with that feeling a little longer, you may feel pressure dissolve. No need to hold everything. No fear of losing, because you know everything can return in another form. If you let go once more, your mind slows gently. Thoughts of past, future, what should or should not be, fade away. Only this present moment remains very quiet. If you continue drifting, your body grows heavier, as if supported by a slow current, as if you do not need to go anywhere, do not need to achieve anything, only to be here. If you go deeper, all stories of history, of development, of cycles become faint, not gone, but no longer important. They are simply waves that have passed, and you do not need to hold them. If you let go completely, everything softens, dissolves, becomes quieter. And in that quiet, there is no line, no cycle, no history, only a vast space, deep, still, and calm. If you allow yourself to drift into that space, you may notice that sleep is no longer a goal. It simply appears, gently, softly, and you drift into it, without effort, without control, only letting go, within a flow, non-linear, yet always guiding you back to peace. And as you remain within that quiet space, you may begin to sense something subtle, that the non-linearity of history is like your own mind. Memories you thought were gone return, not in order, not in logic, but through feeling. Thoughts you believed finished reappear in different forms, deeper, softer, sometimes unclear. Jung once said, "The pendulum of the mind oscillates between sense and nonsense," and perhaps human history moves the same way, between knowing and not knowing, remembering and forgetting, light and shadow. If you allow yourself to feel this, you may see that not knowing is not something to fear. It is simply part of the journey, a necessary part, so that discovery can continue. If everything were fully explained, if nothing remained mysterious, the human mind might stop seeking. And as you realize this, a gentle relaxation appears. You do not need to understand everything. You do not need to fill every gap. You do not need answers to every question, because those gaps create depth. Those unknowns make the world alive and meaningful. If you remain here a little longer, curiosity becomes soft, not pressure, not urgency, only an opening. And in that state, your mind slows even more. Thoughts no longer rush, but drift, like slow clouds across a night sky. If you notice, you are no longer trying to understand. You are simply feeling. And as you feel, instead of analyze, your body changes, breath slows, shoulders soften, heart rate eases. Your entire system shifts into deep rest. If you follow that state, you may feel all stories of history, of civilization, of great cycles fade into distance like echoes and far away, and you do not need to follow them. You can remain here, in quiet, in safety, in the feeling that everything is okay, even without understanding everything. If you let go once more, a softness spreads through your body, as if you are being gently supported, light, soft, no balance needed, no control required, only to drift. And in that moment, even time begins to fade. No past, no future, only a slow current, deep, still. If you remain there a little longer, you may realize you are no longer outside the story. You are inside it, a part of it, a part of a flow that existed long before you noticed and will continue long after you fall asleep. And as you realize this, everything becomes very light. Nothing to hold, nothing to understand, nothing to do, only a presence, deeply peaceful, drifting further into sleep. The limits of archaeology. As you remain within the flow of these reflections about a non-linear history, where everything does not simply move forward, but sometimes repeats, breaks apart, and is reborn, you may begin to sense a very subtle shift into another layer of awareness. A layer where we are no longer only asking what happened, but begin to wonder whether we have truly seen everything that has ever existed. Because when we speak of history, especially prehistory, we often unconsciously believe that what has been discovered is the complete truth. But in reality, what archaeology holds today is only a very small fraction, almost like scattered fragments of a vast picture eroded by time. It is estimated that, so far, humans have surveyed less than 1% of all possible archaeological sites on Earth, which means the remaining 99% still lies silently beneath the ground, beneath the oceans, or has vanished entirely without leaving any trace. And if you pause for a moment to truly feel that number, you may sense something very unusual, almost like a deep humility before the history of our own species. Carl Gustav Jung once wrote, "The more we know, the more we realize how much we do not know." And perhaps No field reflects this more clearly than archaeology, because each new discovery does not only bring answers, but often opens even more questions, as if every piece we find only makes the surrounding emptiness more visible. If you continue to go deeper, you may realize that the history we know is not the whole history, but only what remains. After a very harsh process of selection by time, organic materials, such as wood, fabric, paper, leather, almost cannot survive for tens of thousands of years. The softer traces of human life, stories, emotions, memories, all dissolve without leaving physical evidence. What remains is mostly stone, and bone, the hardest, the most durable, but also the least expressive. And from these few remnants, we try to reconstruct an entire lost world. If you pause here, you may begin to feel a certain fragility in the way we understand the past, because what we call history is in fact a story built from what remains, not from everything that once existed, and that creates a very deep kind of bias. We see stone structures and assume they were the center of civilization, but perhaps most of ancient human life took place in wooden structures, organic materials that have completely disappeared. We find tools and assume that is all they had, but perhaps the most important tools were made from materials that could not survive until today. If you allow yourself to remain with this thought, you may begin to feel that history is not a complete book, but more like a torn manuscript with many pages missing, and we are trying to read it, not with certainty, but with inference, not with complete data, but with fragments. If you continue deeper, you may realize that this is not only true for external history, but also true for your own mind. You do not remember your entire life. You remember fragments, moments that stand out, memories that are strong. The rest are gaps, and from those fragments, you construct the story of yourself. Jung described this as the way consciousness operates, through symbols, through pieces, to create a sense of continuity, even though, in reality, much is missing. If you observe more closely, you may notice a deep similarity between archaeology and psychology. Both work with traces, both attempt to understand something that is no longer directly present, and both must accept that some parts will never be known. If you allow yourself to soften into that realization, you may feel a very gentle lightness. You do not need to understand all of history. You do not need to fill every gap. You do not need to make everything clear, because that incompleteness is part of the beauty, part of the depth, part of the mystery that makes this journey alive. If you remain here, you may feel your mind slowing down, no longer trying to decode everything, but simply observing gently. Thoughts begin to pass, like layers of sediment, slow, settling, quiet. You are no longer outside of history. You become part of it, part of a flow where things appear, then disappear, leaving traces, or not. If you let go a little more, your body grows heavier, as if supported by the earth, like ruins resting beneath deep soil, not needing to be found, not needing to be understood, simply there. And in this moment, you may allow yourself to be the same. No need to be clear, no need to be complete, no need to know everything, only to be here, in stillness, in slowness, in the feeling that everything is okay, even with so much still unexplained. And as you remain with that feeling, naturally, your mind begins to soften, like water settling after wind. Questions no longer echo. Gaps no longer disturb. Everything becomes a vast space, deep and quiet. And in that space, you gently drift into sleep. As you remain within that quiet space, you may begin to sense something subtle, that the very incompleteness of our understanding opens a special kind of freedom, a freedom from needing to know everything, a freedom from the pressure of answers, a freedom simply to exist. Carl Gustav Jung once said, "Man needs difficulties. They are necessary for health." And perhaps the gaps in history are such difficulties, not to confuse us, but to keep the mind alive, searching, open. If you feel more deeply, you may see that this incompleteness is not a flaw of science, but the nature of reality. Nothing is preserved forever. No memory remains whole. No story is fully told. Everything is fragments, layers, traces, and perhaps this is also true of you. You are not everything you have ever experienced. You are what remains, what is still alive, what continues. If you stay with that thought, you may feel a deep relief. You do not need to carry everything. Do not need to keep everything. Do not need to remember everything. You can let some things go, just as time has done with history. If you let go a little more, everything becomes softer. Thoughts blur, questions fade. Everything dissolves, like traces erased by time. And in that state, you are no longer trying to understand. You are simply there, present, light, quiet. If you continue drifting, your body responds. Breath becomes slower, deeper, steadier. Heart softens, shoulders release. Your whole body sinks gently into something soft, warm, safe. If you notice, you are no longer holding onto thoughts. They come and go, like thin layers of sediment, quietly, leaving no trace. And that is completely okay. You do not need to keep them. You do not need to follow them. Only let them pass. If you remain in this state a little longer, you may feel yourself dissolving into the space around you. No clear boundary between you and the world. Only a vast feeling, deep and quiet. And in that space, there are no questions, no answers, no history, no future. Only stillness. If you let go once more, your entire body rests, truly rests. No tension, no holding, no effort, only complete release. And in that moment, sleep is no longer something to seek. It simply arrives, soft, natural, like everything, eventually returning to stillness, and you, gently, drift into sleep, within spaces that do not need to be filled, only felt. New technology, light in the darkness. As you remain within those spaces of absence, where history is not a straight line, but scattered fragments across time, you may begin to sense a subtle movement, as if within the darkness itself, a small light begins to appear. Not a blinding light, not a complete answer, but delicate rays from new technologies that humanity has just begun to touch. Technologies like LiDAR, ground-penetrating radar, ancient DNA analysis, like modern lanterns, carried into dense forests of the past, where once we could see almost nothing. And slowly, what seemed lost begins to emerge. Cities buried beneath thick earth, road networks hidden under jungles, vast structures invisible to the naked eye, revealed not through force, but through gentle scanning, from above, like a patient, quiet gaze. If you pause, you may feel something very special, that history is not closed. It is still changing. Each year, each discovery reshapes the picture we once thought fixed. Jung once wrote, "We do not see things as they are, we see them as we are." And perhaps, for a long time, we did not see ancient cities beneath forests, not because they were not there, but because we did not yet know how to look. And when the way of seeing changes, the world changes. If you go deeper, you may realize that technology is not only a tool for exploring the outside world, but an expression of how the human mind expands itself. Before, we dug slowly, layer by layer, limited. Now, we see through the ground, through forests, as if opening a new layer of awareness, where hidden things are no longer completely invisible. And that brings a quiet feeling that perhaps what we do not yet know is still there, simply unseen. If you remain with that feeling, you may sense a gentle hope, not rushed, but steady, that the picture of the past is still incomplete and still unfolding. If you continue drifting, you may see that each discovery does not only add information, but changes how we see ourselves. Because when we uncover a city beneath the Amazon, or a structure beneath the desert, we are not just finding a place, we are discovering that humans once did more, lived differently, understood world in ways we had not imagined, and that, quietly, shifts the feeling of the present. If you sense more deeply, you may see that the boundary between known and unknown is not a clear line, but a shifting haze, and technology only helps us move slightly closer to that haze, never removing it entirely. If you stay with this, you may feel a gentle balance between light and darkness, between knowing and not knowing, between what has been revealed and what still waits. And within that balance, you do not need to choose. You do not need to know everything, only to be there, to observe, to feel. If you let go a little more, your mind softens again. Thoughts of technology, of discoveries, of history, fade like distant lights, growing dim. What remains is a vast space, quiet, deep. If you remain there, you may feel your breath slower, steadier, softer, heart calm, body heavy, as if supported, with nothing to hold, nothing to control. If you drift further, you may realize you are like history itself, some parts clear, some parts hidden, some explored, some still in darkness. And that is completely okay. You do not need to illuminate everything. Do not need to understand all of yourself. You may leave part of you in the dark, quiet, unnamed. If you accept that, you may feel a deep release, as if something unseen has been set down. If you let go once more, everything fades, like a landscape dissolving into night mist. Questions, images, thoughts, all drift away, slowly, softly. And in that moment, there is no strong light, no deep darkness, only gentleness surrounding you. If you remain there, you will feel sleep approaching, not forced, not sudden, simply arriving. And you gently drift with it into a quieter space where nothing needs to be discovered anymore, only rested in, a mystery that is never complete. As you pass through all these layers, from unexplained gaps to lost civilizations to new lights of technology, you may begin to feel something subtle yet deep, that perhaps we will never know the whole truth, not because humans lack intelligence, but because time softens everything. Because existence does not preserve all. History is not a complete book, but a book with most pages torn away. What we read are fragments, pieces, woven together by imagination and inference. Carl Gustav Jung once said, "The least of things with a meaning is worth more than the greatest of things without it." And perhaps what matters is not whether we know everything, but the meaning we find in what remains. If you pause and truly feel this, you may notice a shift. You no longer need perfect answers, no longer need completeness. You can remain with the unfinished and still feel enough. If you go deeper, you may see that incompleteness creates space. Space for curiosity, space for imagination, space for feeling. If everything were explained, the world might become flat and silent in another way. But because there are gaps, there is depth. And this is also true for you. You do not know all of yourself. Some parts clear, some vague, some hidden. And that does not make you lacking. It makes you deeper. Jung once wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." But becoming is not finishing. It is a process, always open, always changing, never complete. If you stay with that, you may feel a gentle ease. You do not need to be complete. Do not need to understand everything. Do not need to explain everything. You can simply experience. If you let go a little more, big questions fade, like echoes dissolving. What remains is a feeling that you are here, now, and that is enough. If you drift deeper, you may see that each discovery is like a small light in that torn book, not completing it, but making it alive. And perhaps that is all we need, not perfection, but life. If you feel deeper, you may see that the search for truth is not to end, but to continue, to question, to explore, to feel, and in doing so, we change. If you remain here, your mind slows, no longer reaching, just resting. Breath slows, deepens, softens, heart calms, body grows heavy, held by quiet. If you let go once more, thoughts dissolve, leaving only peaceful space. And this time, the space does not need filling. It becomes a place to rest. If you stay there, you no longer seek, no longer read the book, no longer need missing pages. You are simply here, in stillness, in a fullness within incompleteness. If you let go again, you drift, light, deep, into a space without questions, without answers, only peace. And in that peace, sleep too arrives. No call needed, no search needed, simply appearing. And you, gently, close all thoughts, drift into sleep within a story never complete, yet always enough. And as you continue drifting, you may begin to realize this journey was never truly about history. It was about how we face the unknown, because deep within, each of us carries similar gaps, unclear memories, unanswered questions, and perhaps what disturbs us is not knowing, but believing we must know. But as you sit and listen, you may realize not knowing is also peace. Jung once said, "I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become." And perhaps this is true for history too. We are not limited by what happened, but by how we see it. If you do not know everything, you are not lacking. If you do not understand all, the world does not lose meaning. Instead, those gaps create space for breath, for rest, for simply being here. If you soften further, everything settles. No need to analyze, no need to remember, no need to conclude. Only a gentle feeling that you have traveled. And now, you may rest. Your breath slows, deepens, softens. Your heart calms. Your body sinks into quiet. Your mind rests. Thoughts no longer pull you. They simply come and go, like history itself. And that is enough. You do not need to hold them. Do not need to follow. Only let them pass. If you remain here, you may feel a vast openness, safe, still, effortless, only presence. And in that presence, everything is enough. No need for completeness, no need for certainty, only peace. If you allow it, sleep comes, soft, natural, like everything, returning to stillness. And you need do nothing, only let go. If you are still listening, you are already very close to sleep. Let your eyes grow heavy, your breath slow, your body sink. Everything can wait. Questions can wait. Answers can wait. This moment is for you to rest, to restore, to return. And before you drift completely into sleep, if these stories bring you peace, gently subscribe to Stories for Sleep, so that each night you always have a soft place to return. A place where you do not need to understand everything, do not need to be perfect, only to rest. And now, no more effort, no more thought, only drift. Wishing you a sleep deep, soft, and peaceful.